So you might have decided that university education isn't for you, whether that's because you don't fancy paying off the large student loan that comes with it, or you don't feel like formal education is really for you, and the thought of making money straight out of school is much more to your liking. So in this video, I'm going to discuss what career options you have in finance coming straight out of school. I'm going to explain what some of these school leaver programs and apprenticeships are, and talk through some of the benefits of them. I'm going to talk about the different categories of finance programs you have, and also list down some of the companies that offer these programs for school leavers. And towards the end of the video, I'm going to explain what kind of skills you want to demonstrate when applying for one of these programs, and also demonstrate during the program so that you can land yourself a full-time role after the program ends, because that's not always guaranteed. It's really important to understand what your options are after secondary education so that you can make a well-informed decision which sets you off in the right direction at the start of your career. With attention-grabbing headlines about student loan debt after university, a lot of people are analysing and contemplating the alternatives to higher education these days. I've been hearing a lot more support for the idea that university isn't the best route after high school just because of the cost of education these days in the UK. I'm not going to get into the debate about whether going to university is the right or the wrong move, but I am going to talk about what I feel is one of the best alternatives to university if you are considering that option. Whether you should go to university or not really depends on various different factors, and if you want me to make a video talking through these factors, just let me know in the comments below. School leave and apprenticeship programs are basically jobs within organizations which are largely aimed at school leavers. One of the really attractive aspects of these programs is the fact that the company trains and develops these new hires, putting them through training which usually ends up in an industry-recognized qualification. When it comes to finance, school leaver and apprenticeship programs, the qualification in most cases is an accountancy qualification. You'll need to balance working and studying during these programs. You'll be given time off for study blocks, but you'll also be expected to put in some of your own personal time towards studying. The ratio which is usually quoted is that you'll be working 80% of the time and studying for 20% of your time. So what are the similarities and differences between the school leaver programs and the apprenticeship programs? To my understanding, there are some core aspects which are similar between both. You'll often find these terms used interchangeably because they are so similar. One common aspect between both programs is the fact that you'll be paid for your work, and the training provided to you will also be paid for. This is one of the key reasons why these programs are so attractive to school leavers. These qualifications are relatively expensive if you were to do them by yourself, so getting these paid for is a big win. As mentioned before, the company supports the school leaver through training in both cases, and it's a good way for young individuals to get practical work experience while studying towards their qualification and building up their technical knowledge. One of the differences between the programs is the fact that school leaver programs are designed for students who've left with A-levels or higher, while apprenticeships are for students who've left at different stages of school, but you need at least GCSEs or Nat5s to get onto an apprenticeship program. There are different levels of apprenticeship programs based on when you left school and what grades you got at GCSE. They start at intermediate apprenticeships and go up to degree apprenticeships. These are open to people who've done a few GCSEs and they're equivalent to 5 GCSEs. Degree apprenticeships require A-levels and they're equivalent to receiving a full bachelor's degree or a master's degree. So another difference between the two is the fact that apprenticeships follow national frameworks. So no matter what company you join, you should receive the same amount of training and the same qualification at the end. On school leaver programs, the company has much more flexibility on the training that they can provide and the structure of the program. In general, school leaver programs can last between 3 and 6 years, whilst apprenticeships can be as short as 12 months. School leaver programs are more competitive to get into, and the reason for this is because they're seen as a better stepping stone to a career in that field, rightly or wrongly. The entry requirements are slightly higher, and so are the salaries. The companies that offer these school leaver programs are some of the largest companies in the world, and they operate in a variety of different sectors. Now, these large companies also offer apprenticeships, but they're also offered by some small and medium-sized companies as well. Adding to the previous point about school leaver programs being competitive to get into, the caliber of companies that offer these programs make them far more appealing. Getting a recognized brand name on your CV at the start of your career is always beneficial. That's why these school leaver programs are so in demand. Stepping back and looking at the school leaver and apprenticeship programs, you'll see that they're very similar in nature because they offer school leavers the opportunity to work and get trained at the same time. They are so similar, in fact, that some companies label their school leaver programs as apprenticeships and vice versa. If you are considering one of these programs, I'd thoroughly recommend that you do your research on what exactly the program offers when it comes to training and the qualification earned. Now let's look at some of the different types of finance programs out there. Accounting school leaver and apprenticeship programs are offered by a wide range of companies. The big four accounting firms, so that's PwC, Deloitte, KPMG and EY, all have their own school leaver programs, and these programs are in all three of the core divisions, so that's consulting, audit and tax. If you want to learn more about the big four accounting firms and what they do exactly, I'll leave a video on that topic on the end screen, so you can watch that video after this one ends. On these programs with Big Four, you'll get a choice about which division you sit in, but at the start you'll generally get some technical accounting training so that you understand the fundamentals. Once you get to grips with the basics, your training will vary according to which division you sit in. So for example, for tax-related programs, you'll receive specific tax training. Aside from the Big Four, you've also got mid-tier professional services firms like BDO and Grant Thornton that offer these types of programs. Looking away from the accounting firms, you'll find finance school leaver programs and apprenticeships at various different companies, for example, Tesco, Nestle, GSK, etc. So another type of school leaver program is available in banking. Similar to accounting, you'll receive training whilst you're working for the bank. There are a wide range of different programs available where you'll focus on different aspects of the bank. So for example, you could be focused on credit control, investment operations, specialist products like mortgages, etc. In a lot of cases, you'll be focused on a particular aspect of the bank during your program, and once your program ends, you'll continue to work in that particular field. This is because you've built up skills on that particular topic. Banks that offer these programs include Barclays, HSBC, Santander, and many others. Investment banks also have these apprenticeship programs, which might surprise you. JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs have their own apprenticeship programs. JP Morgan have apprenticeships in investment operations, technology, compliance, and finance, while Goldman have an apprenticeship in IT engineering, where you'll also be studying for a degree in digital and technology solutions from Queen Mary University in London. Clearly, these aren't front office roles, but it is a good way to get into a well-recognized bulge bracket bank if that is your aim. If you are looking for apprenticeships in front office roles, I've managed to find apprenticeships in asset management and wealth management at the investment bank UBS. They offer apprenticeships in these two divisions along with school leaver opportunities in the back office and middle office as well. They offer these programs through degree apprenticeships, so you'll end up with a degree at the end of your program, and they have a tie-in with the University of Exeter in the UK, so you'll get a degree from a very well-respected university. Now the final type of school leaver program I want to talk to is in insurance. On these programs, you can work for some of the largest insurance companies in the world, so the likes of Aon, AXA, Zurich, etc. There are various different streams you'll find programs in, for example, actuarial science, client management, products and pricing, reinsurance, etc. Similar to other school leaver programs, you'll be put through training during the program, and you'll end up with an industry-recognized qualification at the end of it. For insurance programs, this is generally from the Chartered Insurance Institute or from the Chartered Institute of Loss Adjusters. So what skills do you need to possess and demonstrate aside from the obvious numerical skills and communication skills when you're applying for one of these programs? And if you already got one of these programs, so that you ensure you're successful on the program. One of the skills that I think you need to possess is having good time management. During the program, you're going to have to balance working a full-time job with studying as well, so attending classes. You'll want to have good time management skills and be able to demonstrate this so that employees are confident that you can handle the workload on the program. You'll be given some time off work to go and study during study blocks, but given the demanding nature of these qualifications, you'll also be expected to put in some personal time towards study. The obvious way to demonstrate you have these skills is to explain how you manage multiple extracurricular activities while still in school. If you have a part-time job, that's another great way you can demonstrate that you have these skills. Time management is a really important skill that you'll need to possess, and you'll definitely be judged on it during the interview process. Now, another skill that you'll be assessed on is being professional. Having just come out of school, people will be slightly concerned whether you can operate in a professional environment like these finance firms are. This is even more important if you've got a client-facing role. If you want to demonstrate professionalism during the program, you just need to keep a few simple things in mind. One of these things is just to dress in a professional manner, and that means meeting the requirements of the company's dress code. Another thing that contributes to professionalism is making sure you're seen as someone that's reliable. When you get a task with a deadline, make sure that you meet that deadline, and if you can't do that for whatever reason, make sure that you flag it with your colleagues so that they can help you and point you in the right direction. You'll want to demonstrate that you possess these skills during the interview process as well, so make sure that you've got a few examples in your back pocket where you've been given responsibility and you've delivered tasks on a deadline. This might be at a part-time job that you had or during an extracurricular activity that you take part in. Another simple way to demonstrate professionalism is by having the right email and phone etiquette. There are plenty of resources online covering that specific topic, so have a look through those as well. One specific skill that will be a focus for finance school leaver programs is commercial awareness. Employers will want to know that you understand how their business works at a fundamental level and what the general industry trends are. A couple of other ways to show strong commercial awareness is if you know how the company compares against its competitors. Providing evidence that you've got a good understanding of what's happening at a macroeconomic level will be very impressive as well. You don't necessarily have to remember facts and figures about the industry or the economy, but if you can understand and explain why certain things impact or influence other factors, that'll be very impressive. By showing that you've got an understanding of these things, it shows that you've got strong analytical skills and logical reasoning ability, which is really essential for any workplace. One final skill I want to touch on, which is really important, is your ability to work in teams. In school, you're largely responsible for your own studies and for your own success. You might have a few group assignments, but finally you'll be taking the exam by yourself. Employees will want to be comfortable that you can operate in a team environment and that you can get along with people. This will normally be the first time when you're working in a team environment, unless you've had a part-time job before. If you have, that's a great way to demonstrate that you can work in teams, and I'll definitely use that example. If you haven't had a part-time job, it's fine to use examples from your extracurricular activities, such as playing team sports. So those were some of the skills that you'll want to demonstrate before and during the program. Some others include being genuinely enthusiastic about the industry and the role. You'll also want to show dedication during the program, because these programs can last up to 6 years after all. And finally, being able to learn new skills and new techniques quickly. I hope you can see why school leaver programs are gaining in popularity. They're a great way for individuals that don't want to be burdened by student loan debt to get a good start to their career whilst also training towards an industry recognized qualification. As I said before, the Big Four accounting firms all have school leaver programs, and if you want to know who the Big Four accounting firms are, what they do, and how you can join them, click on the video on your screen right now.